Satnam. Welcome back to SoulFlow Yoga. My name is Amy, and this week we're going to explore Gate 24. So find a comfortable position on the floor, your yoga mat, or a blanket, or maybe even a comfortable chair where you're able to sit up nice and tall, feet flat on the floor. All right, let's dive in. So this week the sun is highlighting and is in and activating Gate 24. Gate 24 is part of the individual circuitry. This circuitry holds the theme of empowerment, and it's empowerment by showing up as yourself, honoring who you are. This gate is also associated with is in the ajna. The ajna is in the head, it's the crown, the ajna, and then we get to the throat and so on and so forth. So the ajna is a center for conceptualization, it's for strategizing. It takes all the information that comes into the crown center and then tries to make sense of it. All right, so with this gate 27, what's trying to happen is we're trying to make sense of information through rationalization. We're trying to rationalize all this information. And there's a lot of potential that's also here. So this is the energy for potential, the potential to rationalize. And what can happen sometimes when we rationalize? How many times have you rationalized purchasing something that you didn't need? Or rationalize eating something that you shouldn't eat, right? Maybe because it doesn't agree with you, or maybe you were already full, or maybe you rationalized like one more glass of wine and that was way too many, or whatever. You get the idea. And part of this energy of this gate is just churning the same things or the same thoughts over and over and over and over and over again. And I think of rumination when I think of this. I also have some of the circuitry, so I get it. This to me is like going to bed at night and just the mind just will not stop. It's going over and over and over and over. Things that happened earlier that day or things that are coming up later in that week. It's very much sort of in the middle of and being able to hold space for your past and your future. And it doesn't want to play in the present moment. It really is like, you can see my hands, I'm like pulling in opposite directions. And sometimes to me, that's exactly what it feels like. I feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions. It's a lot of mental overwhelm, a lot of mental exhaustion here because it's like the hamster wheel of the mind. Going and going and going and going, and you can't it just doesn't want to stop. And so the shadow side of this is, the word is addiction, and don't think of it like the typical types of addiction that we think of today, although that does play in. But we're talking about addiction to this thought process, this sort of addiction to the same thought patterns over and over and over and over and over. The rationalization of this act, the rationalization of that, blah, 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 blah. I'm already exhausted just talking about it and thinking about it. But so what we can do here to sort of pull ourselves out of this like rut, it feels like a mental rut as well. And so how do we stop the hamster wheel? How do we get out of this mental neural pathway that we've created that is like, what a rut is? It's like you've worn it down so much that the road is so like worn down that the sides almost come up, right? And you're like trapped, you're stuck. So I also want you to think about it in this way too. So we have the physical body. So in yoga, we have 10 bodies, right? So let's think about the densest of those 10 bodies. We have the physical body, which is very dense. We have the emotional or astral body, also very dense. And then we have the mental body, very dense. And these three bodies communicate very, very well with each other. And we're not paying any attention to this, right? So we have the physical body, and it carries the core wound. All right, we all have a core wound that we carry within us. Maybe we have no awareness of it at all, but your core wound has a lot to do with these mental patterns that we repeat. There are also some of these things that cause and create a lot of suffering that we feel like are our personal, suffering that we carry, whatever it is. So as an example, for me, mine feels like a lack of self-worth. Like I'm always needing to prove myself, or, prove that I am of value, or that I fit in, or, that something's worth it. Am I worth it? Now I have spent a lot of time, obviously, holding space for my core wound. So I don't feel like I don't have any value, or that I don't fit in, or that I have to prove myself. I no longer think that. But before having that awareness, a lot of my rumination thoughts were around self-worth, around proving my worth and my value, and needing to prove my ability to fit in some way, or feeling like I didn't fit in, or I didn't belong. Okay, so that's also separateness. And I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way. So when we get into this core wound, we feel very separate from the other. We feel very separate from the world. We feel like we don't fit in. We feel like oddballs, right? All of this kind of thinking creates an emotional reaction as well. So we have an emotional feeling, and a lot of times those emotions feel very icky. And what do? That emotional frequency wants to either numb itself out from those feelings. What are the ways we numb ourselves out? Food, drinking, shopping, gambling, Netflixing, social media, scroll, right? That's the numbing. And that can lead to other addictions, right? Shopping addiction, drinking addiction, drug addiction, because we want to escape that. We want to get out of the head, that rumination. We want to get out of that feeling, ick, right? And then the mental body. So the mind, right, is saying, okay, I feel these emotions. I hear you want to get out of that. So, you know what? That thing that you think that bottle of wine, let's drink that whole bottle of wine. Yes, I'm going to get you there to where you can envision no longer feeling like the core wound, that crappy feeling that you're feeling. Let's drink that bottle of wine. We're going to feel way better afterwards. That's what the mind is saying. So there's sort of this entanglement between the emotional body, or that astral body, and the mental body. They're entangled because that emotional body is looking for something outside of itself, something that is non-essential to survival, to fix, or to somehow get out of that mind rumination, right? But the mind also is like, oh, the future, I can see into the future. I can see where you're going to feel better this is that rationalization, okay? Another piece to this shadow is, so in the repressed state, we're trying to numb out, basically. We don't want to deal with the noise of it. We got to escape the noise of it. How can we escape it? Let's numb it out. Then the reactive side of that would be to get into action. So I think of the workaholic, somebody who can't sit still. In either case, what we're doing is we are avoiding the thing that actually will relieve and stop the hamster wheel. The thing that will relieve and stop the hamster wheel and stop maybe that cycle of addiction is silence, stillness, those pauses and gaps between the next activity, or allowing that pause and that gap to let that desire for whatever that is, the shopping or the drinking, allow that non-essential desire to burn itself out, right? It's, desire is like fire, and when you, instead of answering the call of desire, we let it burn itself out. So maybe even this week, if you find yourself experiencing some of this, if this is what I'm saying to you feels like, oh my God, I can totally resonate with that, awesome. Now you have some tools that you can use to, redirect and reroute and create some new neural pathways and to escape all that noise. but in a very healthy way, and also in a very like future productive way. All right, now you have an awareness, and or this is like energy that's new, feeling that shows up newly this week. You also now have some tools that you can play with and practice with and experiment with. Life is all about being curious and having opportunities to experiment with that level of curiosity. So silence, right? Allowing ourselves to let that non-essential desire burn itself out. Don't act on it, just notice it. Okay, I can see that this thought is creating this feeling, and it's making me want to do what I always do, that routine, that rut, pour a glass of wine. But I'm just going to notice it, and I'm going to say, nope, just give it a hot minute. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go do something else maybe, or maybe I just need to sit still and be still and allow myself to be the witness to this feeling without, even envisioning yourself. Okay, I have this desire, but I'm not going to answer the call. I'm going to let it burn itself out. And it will. I've done this before, practice it, and it takes practice. So anyway, and then the other thing is, if you're the workaholic type, then maybe sitting still in silence, as difficult as I know that's going to be, try it. Start 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the other thing is the practice that we're going to do right now. Kundalini yoga is, and because I can speak to this from my personal experience, having all of that rumination and that hamster wheel of like trying to make meaning of everything and trying to rationalize everything. Like everything needs to have a meaning, and I got to rationalize why, and reasons for why I did this or why I did that or why I'm going to do this or why I'm going to like. It's exhausting, right? So practicing Kundalini not only creates new neural pathways, but it creates spaces and opportunities for that silence or that stillness. This gate also is very acoustic. It's about sounds and hearing things, and also not hearing things, right? So sometimes you only hear what you want to hear. That's another piece to rationalization. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is how we're going to transmute. Obviously, I've talked a little bit about silence, being in silence, sitting in silence, to have a deeper awareness for what's the choices that you're making and how to redirect. But the beauty of the Kundalini yoga is that it is the most effective and efficient way that I have found to help bring myself back into my body, out of my brain, and then or my mind. My mind isn't meant to make all those decisions and to keep me into alignment. It's my body. And so Kundalini yoga gets me back into my body. It also helps me to create new neural pathways for but just like allowing myself to be the witness to those old patterns and be like, okay, I can choose another pattern, or I can sit with this moment of discomfort and know that I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get to the other side without choosing the same methods of trying to get out from underneath that suffering that I did in the past. The other thing is Kundalini incorporates mantra. Mantra is that tongue chanting. It's repetitive. It is. It just helps you drop yourself back into your body, become more meditative as well, clearing out the garbage. It's like mental garbage cleaner, subconscious garbage cleaner. And also the tongue, as it hits the upper palate, it stimulates the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, all of these glands that are in the brain that actually release those feel-good hormones. Okay, so another thing, like if you're feeling bad about something, right, do some Kundalini yoga. Incorporate the mantra, the chanting. I know people feel weird about the chanting, but I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It really is. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. And before we get into it, the last thing I want to say is, as we practice, I know I do a lot of talking sometimes during the practice, and sometimes it feels right and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm going to try not to talk as much during today's practice and let those moments of silence be there. And if they provoke you, let them provoke you. That's okay. That's what they're meant to do. They're meant to get you past that point of discomfort into the point where you're like, not so bad after all. I don't know why I was fighting that. The other piece is when we can allow ourselves to sit in silence, especially if you have this gate in your human design body graph, or if you're just experiencing it this week, or if you experience it because you're in relationship with other people who have it, invention is the gift that comes out of being able to sit in silence, in whatever that is for you. If that's 5 minutes, if that's 10 minutes, if that's 20 minutes at the beginning of the day, or if it's 10 in the morning and 10 in the evening and maybe 10 in the middle of the day, whatever works for you, it's fine. But invention, right? Having new ways of thinking. Once again, that's getting you out of that rut. So another story that I'm going to tell you that might be helpful to sort of put this into perspective is, let's think of a tennis player. Okay, so tennis player been playing the same way forever, right? So, and a really good tennis player. And then the opponents are studying that tennis player. They're like, okay, I can beat that tennis player because I know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do the same thing they've always done. I've watched recording after recording after recording. They always do the same thing. Now, what if that tennis player is like, you know what? I'm in a rut. Maybe they got beat, right? And they're like, oh, I'm in a rut. I need to change things up. Or they're like, I'm in a rut. I know if you watch tennis documentaries, they talk about the mental aspect of it and how challenging it is for them. So if they were to get still and silent, practice some Kundalini yoga, perhaps even some breath work, the whole thing, and allow themselves to just have a new thought. And then they're like, you know what? I'm just going to get out there and I'm going to play from instinct, not my mind. I'm just going to allow myself to enjoy the moment and be present in the moment. I'm not going to worry about my past games where I lost or where I won, or the future. Am I going to still be loved by the crowd, or am I not? Am I going to be forgotten? All of that. I'm just going to go out there and be present and play. And what happens is they show up and they start playing from a whole new level, right? A whole new playing field, if you will. And their opponent, who thought they knew what to expect, is totally taken off guard and surprised. And this is how you get out of this addictive thinking and addictive rationalization thought processes into a state of invention, inventing something new, having a new way of thinking. Okay, I think I've said enough. So let's just jump right into today's Kriya. I think it's going to be a really good one. If you have any injuries, remember to modify for yourself in whatever way feels supportive. Also, take yourself to your own edge. You don't have to compare yourself to somebody else or compete with somebody else's level. That's not what we're about. You're here to have your own experience in whatever shows up for you. All right? So compassion and love for the self always, before we meet at the mat. And the other thing I will say is today's practice is going to activate a lot of our solar plexus. That's the navel center. Also some inner thigh action, activation. So if you are new to Kundalini yoga, and if you are new to even exercising, find your own pace. You might feel a little bit sore after this, but it's going to be a good sore. It's not going to be a bad sore. It just, your muscles and your tendons are saying, hello. Thank you for participating in this full body experience. Okay, so like all practices, we tune in with the Adi mantra, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. So bring those palms together and begin to rub them vigorously. All right, so we're going to awaken our nerve endings here through the hands. Bring ourselves into this present moment, and then bringing the hands into prayer pose at the heart center. All right. So this gate and the circuitry that's in this gate, the stream that's in this gate, it's so more supported when we can bring ourselves into the present moment. All right. So sitting up nice and tall, closing the eyes. Bring those eyeballs in towards the nose, up towards the space between the eyebrows, and take a big deep inhale. And exhale. Bringing your awareness again here into this present moment. Take another deep inhale. And exhale. And now let's inhale to tune in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Big inhale through the nose. Hold that breath in. Now engaging your root lock. That's your pelvic floor, sex organs. Squeeze them, pull them up and in. It's like you're stopping the flow of urine or doing a Kegel. Exhale, let those hands come down, palms face up on top of the knees. Just take a moment here. Inhaling and exhaling. Keeping the eyes closed, turn those palms down on top of the knees. We're just going to warm up with some Sufi circles. And Sufi circles are where we just circle in our pelvic bowl. So the hips, thinking that as a bowl, and your spine as a spoon in the bowl. So we're going to inhale as we circle forward and exhale as we circle back. All right, and just continue here. And now reverse the direction. And now on your next inhale, inhale back up to center and hold the breath in. Exhale. And gently open the eyes. Okay, let's bring those legs out in front. Give them a little bit of a shake. Shake them out. All right, we're going to begin the Kriya. Kriya is just a set of exercises that have been put together to create a specific effect. And today's Kriya is designed to support us in clearing out that subconscious garbage. All right, this Kriya is designed to support us on a physical, an emotional, and a mental level. So I talked about those physical, astral, and mental bodies. Astral is just another word for emotional body. Okay, so this Kriya will help with that. All right, so we're going to do some leg scissors to begin with, and this is going to engage our, like I said, our navel center. Now, there's a couple options. If you are doing this in a chair, you can just come maybe to the edge of the chair and then lean back. Make sure your chair is sturdy, that it's not gonna slip out from underneath you or wobble or any of that kind of stuff. So make sure it's a sturdy, secure chair. You can also be on the floor here. You can bring your hands behind your hips and you can lean back and then you can bring your legs up. This is really going to engage your abdominals. Maybe that's even more of the advanced level, which we really don't need to, that's not even why we're doing this. We're not, just don't do that. Unless that helps you bring your legs up, and if you need to bend your knees, that's okay too. All right, so you would only do that if lying on your back, which is what we're gonna do. If lying on your back with your hands underneath your hips and doing these leg scissors doesn't feel supportive, if it feels too hard, then if coming up helps, you can even do what I'm doing here is sort of leaning on my forearms. You can do that as well. Now, if you have any kind of back injury, I think laying on your back is probably the best thing. You can also bring your legs straight up and scissor kick this way, but what we really want to be able to do is keep our legs parallel to the floor. That's sort of the goal here. So I'm going to turn this way, So bring ourselves lying on the floor, bringing the hips, the hands under the hips, okay? And, sorry, let's scooch back a little. We're just going to inhale, bring those legs wide, exhale, cross right leg over left, inhale wide again, and then cross left over right. So we're just gonna alternate here. Find your breath pattern that works. I like to inhale when the legs come wide and then exhale as they cross. All right, let's just continue here. Press that low back into the floor. This is going to support the low back as well. I was going pretty fast to start. I'm going to try to slow it down just a bit. All right. Belly button to spine. Focus on that navel center and your breath. If you feel any discomfort, not pain, but discomfort, I just want you to witness it. Just notice it. Don't try to escape it by pretending you're at the beach sipping a pina colada. That's not the point, okay? We have to embrace the discomfort and know that we are bigger than it, that we can handle it. Let that desire to be on the beach with a pina colada, let it burn out. Keep going. A few more seconds. Bring those legs together. Inhale, hold, squeeze root lock. Exhale, lower to the floor. You can bring those hands out from underneath you. Just take a moment here to rest. Maybe go inward just to notice what you notice. All right, we're going to do that one more time. Now you know what to expect. Bring those hands underneath the hips. Once again, this supports your low back. Press low back into the floor, navel to the spine. Bring those legs up off the ground, about 6 inches. And then let's begin. Crisscrossing and alternating. Here we go. If you're having trouble with low back to the floor, bring those legs up higher or bend your knees if you need to. But just do your best, okay? You're just going to focus on what you can do. Don't worry about what you can't do. And let's keep going. Inhale, hold those legs up. Engage root lock. Exhale, lower them to the floor. Remove those hands out from underneath you again. Oh, take a moment here and just rest. If you're someone who can't sit still, these little moments of rest in between a lot of work, these are creating new neural pathways. You're teaching your mind it is okay to be still. It is safe to rest. It's not scary. All right, take a big deep inhale and exhale. All right, we're gonna move on. So, same sort of thing applies if you're in a chair. You can do this in a chair. The next thing we're gonna do is more of a bicycle. So once again, you can bring those hands behind you and you can bicycle this way. This is like a push-pull with the legs, or you can lay all the way down. Again, if you do have any back injury, I suggest laying flat on your back. That will support your back. And you can bring your legs up if you need to. If you need a bicycle here, that's okay. All right, so between 90 and parallel to the floor, right? Parallel to the floor is where we really want to be, but if that's not in your wheelhouse today, that's okay. You can start here and you can work your way to here, okay? So bring those hands underneath your hips again, and then extend those legs out, and then just begin bicycling here. Low back pressing into the floor, belly button to the spine. All right, I want you to think about the navel center, that's your focal point, and then also your breath. Okay, inhale, exhale. If you need another sort of a mantra, right, to keep you in the present moment, when you inhale, I want you to chant Sat. When you exhale, mentally chanting Nam. So you're mentally chanting Sat on the inhale, Nam on the exhale. Again, extend both legs out. Inhale, hold breath, engage root lock. And lower. Release those hands from underneath the hips. Take a moment here to rest. Continue to mentally chant Sat on the inhale, Nam on the exhale. Or you can go inward to just notice what you notice, what's happening within the body. Be the witness. Don't try to make meaning of any of it. Just be present. All right, take a big inhale, exhale. We're gonna do that again. So, bring those hands underneath the hips again, palms to the floor, press low back into the floor, belly button to spine, extend those legs out and begin your bicycle. Focusing on your breath, your navel center, and if you need that mental mantra to keep you here in the present moment, do so please. Couple more seconds here. Extend both legs out. Inhale, hold, engage root lock. Exhale, lower. Release those hands from underneath you. Again, take a moment. Take a big inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Now let's bring those knees up towards the heart center. We're going to rock back and forth, not side to side, although you can go side to side and rock over to one side and push yourself up if you want. Otherwise, we're going to spinal roll by rocking back and forth and then roll ourselves up. And we will come into easy pose, or you maybe are just coming back into a comfortable seated position on your chair. Here we go. All right. So we're going to engage a little bit of breath work here. Pranayama, breath of fire. I've taught this, I usually teach this it always shows up in a class, and it is a foundational piece of pranayama and kundalini yoga. And just to, if you've never done this before, breath of fire is like panting like a dog. So we'll just practice real quickly. Put your hand on your belly so you can feel the engagement of breath and belly together. And panting like the dog, obviously, dogs pant through their mouth. Okay, so breath of fire is very much like that, only we're breathing through the nose. And it doesn't have to be that fast. It can be whatever pace works for you, but something that you can maintain for about a minute. And the key here too is to just focus on the exhale. And when you exhale, that belly button comes in towards the spine. And then when you inhale, the belly expands, right? That's bringing the air in. And then the contraction is pushing the air out. So if you just focus on the exhale, that inhale just happens naturally, okay? So that is breath of fire. Very foundational. If you know how to do that and you practice it every day, you'll be so amazing at it very quickly, very easily. So for this, we're going to interlace our fingers. All right, you see how my palms are facing away from me. So just interlace your fingers, press those palms away from the body, and then raise those arms up over the head. So the palms will be facing the ceiling. And then I just like to make sure that I've got no cranking or crunching in my neck. So I bring my shoulders up towards my ears, and then I press the shoulders away from the ears or slide the shoulder blades back down the back. All right, so just once again, doing our best here. Doesn't have to be perfect, no such thing. Sitting up nice and tall, closing the eyes, and just letting the gaze be whatever it wants to be. And let's begin breath of fire. Take a big inhale, hold that breath in, and again, engage your root lock. Exhale, bring those hands apart. Wiggle those fingers as you slowly lower the arms down beside the body as they come down beside the body. And let them rest. Palms facing up on the knees or in the lap. Take a moment here. Once again, I invite you to go inward. Just notice what you notice. You notice any tingling sensations within the body, physical sensations. It's just energy going where it wants to go. Again, just be the witness. No reason to give anything a meaning, no reason to rationalize why something feels this way or doesn't feel that way. All right, let's take a big deep inhale and exhale. All right. Now I'm just giving you really a sampling of this Kriya. Typically in a regular class, we would go a bit longer with each of these asanas, and then we would even have a beautiful layout or Shavasana session. But since we're just doing a sampling of this, just that beautiful quiet moment that we had here in easy pose, is sort of enough to reset and prepare us for what's to come. And that's a little mini meditation that we'll be doing. And this meditation supports this Kriya so beautifully because it does have mantra, and mantra it's an anchor. It anchors you in the present moment. Once again, that chanting that so many people are afraid of. Like, what is to be afraid of something that actually heals and supports living a life of happiness or alignment, right? Living the life that you dream of and that you desire. There's the path to that through being supported, through community, through practices like this, especially if you have this kind of individual circuitry that is prone to, and this gate and this particular stream and circuitry is so prone to anxiousness, melancholy, and that sort of addictive tendencies. Like, I can speak personally to this myself, and I agree with all of this. This gate sometimes can also involve migraines, but it also creates and has a lot of potential for beautiful innovation, new ideas, new ways of thinking, and all of these new ways of thinking and new ideas and new ways of doing things. That is what empowers the collective. And that is also what brings the collective into a state of evolution, to newness, to things that, we need to have in our lives. When you empower, you also give people the permission to be themselves as well and to create and bring new ideas into form. Okay, I've said enough, but I'm really excited about this. Can you tell? All right, so our meditation, we're going to be sitting in easy pose, or you're sitting in your chair in a comfortable position, and we're going to bring our fingertips together. All right, so I'm just going to get a little closer so you can see. So fingertips press together, and the palms don't touch. It's just the fingertips, so all the fingers. The elbows just rest beside the body, and this mudra, or hand position, is just in front of the heart center. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to attempt to press those fingers into each other at the heart center, about 15 pounds of pressure, and every finger should feel about an equal amount of pressure. All right, so as we're moving through this meditation, you might notice that maybe one finger isn't pressing as hard, and then you get right back into it. That's going to be totally normal. So we're going to be bringing our gaze to the tip of our nose. All right, so that may feel funny at first, especially if you've never done this. It does create what I call an ocular exercise, but bringing that eye focus to the tip of the nose, once again, is very meditative. It brings you into the present moment, just like mantra anchors you into the present moment. And that's what we're trying to practice and get our bodies, our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, in practice of being still and not churning through that hamster wheel of rationalization and thoughts and processes and blah, 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 all that. We're trying to step out of that rut, and this practice will help with that. So we have a physical anchor with our mudra, all right? We have another physical anchor and mental too, with our eye gaze, because that's connected to the brain center. And then that mantra will create this mantra in particular, it's going to activate that vagus nerve that's in the throat, the brain, and it goes all the way down into our gut system too. So this is where that emotional aspect will come into play. All right, so what is the mantra? The mantra is Ra, Ma, da, sa, sa, se, so, hung. I'll put it here, down here. You can listen to the first couple of repetitions, and then when you're ready to join in, go ahead and join in. And I will also in the show notes put what the translation of this mantra. But it's sort of drawn out, so it's Ramada sa, quick inhale, sa se so hung. And when you say hung, you kind of drag it out a little bit. But this sort of long vowel, it creates a humming vibrational sensation in that throat center. And that's what activates that vagus nerve. And that humming creates, especially if you have ever had a panic attack, and once again, I can speak to this as well. Humming, actually, something about it creates this sort of neural message that says everything is okay. Calm, everything can be calm. We're okay. We don't, and it brings you also back into the present moment. So this is our meditation. We're just going to do this for a couple minutes so you get a feel for it. If you find this to be supportive, I invite you to do it for longer, anywhere from 5 to 11 minutes. You can also go on to Spotify or whatever music you listen to, and you can find Rama Dasa music to chant along with. And maybe I'll put some examples of what music artists that I listen to, if that is also supportive for you. Okay, so let's bring our fingertips together in front of the heart center, and let's bring our gaze to the tip of our nose, and let's begin. Ramadasa sa se so hung. 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 Last time through. Ramadasa sa sa se so hum. Take a big deep inhale. Hold that breath in, engaging the root lock, close the eyes. Squeeze, 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 pull the energy up. Exhale, bring those hands and arms up over the head, flicking the fingers. And now wrist circles, shake the arms. And now shake the torso, let the arms come down as they shake. Shoulder rolls. And then let's bring ourselves back into stillness, palms face up on top of the knees. Release any need to control the breath, just let it be whatever it wants to be. Take a big deep inhale through the nose. And exhale. Gently open the eyes. Wonderful. All right, let's seal that supportive practice with one long sat nam. This is how we tune out to seal our practice and honor this time that we invested in ourselves and in our mental, physical, and emotional health. That is something that Kundalini Yoga does such a beautiful job with, I believe. So let's bring those palms together and begin to rub them vigorously once again. And bringing them into prayer pose at the heart center. All right, invitation to join me or just to listen. Once again, one long sat nam. The sat is long, the nam is short, and then I will share my beautiful blessing with you at the end. If you follow me, obviously you might know this, you can follow along, and if you're new, this is my gift to you. Just enjoy it, accept it. All right, so sitting up nice and tall, eyes are closed, rolling those eyeballs in towards the nose and up towards the space between the eyebrows. Let's take a big deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, nose. Feel the body just settling here. Again, inhale. Exhale. And now we inhale to tune out. Sat Nam. Keeping those hands in prayer pose, bring them up above the head. May peace be with you to the third eye. May light be with you to the throat. May truth be with you. And to the heart, may love be with you. And now bring my hands down through the chakras to the ground in front of me as we say, or I say, may safety, security, prosperity, and grounding be with you always. Bowing the head towards the floor, a sign of reverence. And coming up whenever you're ready. Sat Nam. Again, thank you for being here. Not necessarily for me, but for yourself. This gift that you're giving yourself. I hope it supports you this week. Another tip I will share with you, something that I started to do because I mentioned at the beginning, at night when I go to sleep, my mind just goes and goes and goes, and all I want to do is sleep, right? I want it quiet. I don't want everything to be quiet, right? The mental chatter is more than I can bear. So I have practiced by inhaling, mentally chanting with my inhale, sat, and exhaling, mentally chanting, nam. You can count sheep if that works for you, but I have found that inhale of mentally chanting sat and exhaling nam as I lay to fall asleep has been super supportive and closing down the mental noise office, if you will. So anyway, my tip to you, be well. Hope to see you next time as we learn more about the human design transits that we are all experiencing, what we can learn from them, how we can turn our shadow frequencies, those low frequencies, into the gift and live the lives that we dream of. So from my heart to yours, mwah, be well, and I'll see you next time.